Welcome to Mattatuck Moments. From Milford to the Mattatuck. Located 3/4 of a mile off the shore of Milford, Connecticut, and intermittently connected to the mainland during low tide by a walkable sandbar called a tombolo, tiny Charles Island is steeped in local lore. But like the sparse and storm-battered remnants of the once grand structures that graced its surface, only fragments of its true history survive. Among these are a link to a prominent 19th century Waterbury family and to the collection of the Mattatuck Museum. Prior to European contact, the island was referred to as Poquahog by the indigenous Paugussett tribe, and local histories hold that their sachem Ansantaway would frequent the island during the summer months. Arriving in 1639, English settlers would refer to it as Milford Island. The purchase of the island in 1657 by Charles Deal gave it the name by which it is now known, Charles Island. Deal's planned tobacco farm would be the first in a series of failed attempts to monetize the island, leading to whispers of a curse.
The first map to be drawn showing what would become Charles Island was executed by Adrian Block in 1614. He sailed from New York through what he called the Great Bay and captured the salient features of the coastlines and islands he encountered along the way. While the scale of distances isn't accurately depicted, the landmarks are identifiable. He noted the archipelago, now known as the Norwalk Islands, and 2 islands near the mouth of the Housatonic River. One of these is most likely Charles Island. The other may have been a shoal or reef that was more prominent in the 17th century. Block's name is familiar in New England as the famed resort island off the coast of Rhode Island that still bears his name.
Some 85 years after Block drew his map, the famed privateer Captain William Kidd sailed through Long Island Sound on his way to Boston. Anticipating being arrested for piracy, he buried gold, silver, and jewels on Gardiner's Island off the tip of Long Island. This cache of treasure was unearthed by authorities shortly after his arrest. Kidd was subsequently sentenced to death, but in an attempt to escape the hangman's noose, claimed he had buried treasure in many places, and he would lead authorities to those sites in exchange for his life. No deal was made, and Kidd was hanged in 1701. His offer resulting in numerous legends of buried treasure all along the East Coast and Caribbean. A letter, reportedly discovered in an attic gable in a house in Milford, raised the possibility that Kidd may have buried part of his treasure in Milford.
Aunt Prudence has told you of the visit from Captain Kidd from the craft which was seen to come in the harbor at 7 o'clock in the evening. He stayed in the house till in the early morning and sat all night by the fire with Jacobeth and Thomas Welsh, carrying himself in an uncivil and bold manner. Thankful what he did, when he came in the room he put his arms about my waist and kissed me, which made Jacobeth laugh and Thomas Welsh cough. Jacobeth says he is not so bad as folks say, and that he was a little wild. I overheard Jacobeth say that Kidd was going on a long cruise and that he had left some things with him. I am going to tell Aunt Prudence all about it and find out what they are. Your cousin, Patience Tuttle.
Milford folk have speculated that Kidd may have buried treasure on Charles Island, out of view of curious eyes in the town. Many treasure hunters have searched over the years, but all have come up empty-handed. Apart from ownership records, little is known about the island's history over the next 136 years. A New York merchant named John Harris built a large house on the southwestern portion of the island in 1836, but sold the island a mere 6 years later. The link to Waterbury comes in 1852, when Waterbury button manufacturer Eliza E. Pritchard purchased Charles Island from William Van Rensselaer for $2,500 with plans to turn the Harris house into a hotel and the island into a resort.
Over the years he owned the island, Pritchard made numerous improvements to the property. At one point, he added an upper-level observatory to the hotel, providing views of the sound and the coastline. Also a fountain, swimming bath, aquarium with trained sea turtles, and specimens of the Finny tribe. He also constructed a promenade hall, refreshment room, and ice cream saloon.
A glance at the resort's hotel registers in the Mattatuck Museum's historical archives reveal that Pritchard's resort was a favorite destination for sea captains and their wives, travelers throughout the Northeast, and visitors from as far away as Georgia, California, Canada, and Ireland.
Newlyweds also found the island resort perfectly suited their needs. One review from the Hartford Courant described the setting and the mood the island provided to those seeking romance.
It is an excellent place for the newly married to spend the honeymoon. There are many romantic walks and quiet nooks for resting places, with nothing but the bright waves of the Sound in sight, spotted with a distant white sail. It is an excellent place for the betrothed to indulge in evening strolls with the bright moon kissing wavelets below them. The vows there registered the moon will never tell, nor the distant lighthouse reveal the kisses it may witness.
Because the tombolo was exposed only for a short window every day, many guests would travel to the island by boat instead. During the tourist season, sidewheel steamboats, such as the Ella, service the resort from New Haven and Bridgeport 3 times a day.
In 1860, Eliezer was returning to the mainland when he collapsed. High tide had begun to cover the tombolo, and he was seen struggling in the water. 2 duck hunters on the shore saw that he was in trouble and attempted to rescue him. He died in their arms before reaching the mainland. Eliezer's daughter Sarah inherited the resort upon his death. Sarah, who was the author of 9 books and many dozens of articles, penned one book that appears to have been set on a romanticized Charles Island. The setting for Fay Mar of Storm Cliff, published in 1867, was a large mansion located on an island. At one point, she described it in the off-season.
The low booming of ocean surf always lingered about the region of Stormcliff. The thunders of the great deep shook the whole beach that night as the waves dashed the sand and rock. Stormcliff, with its large lonely rooms in its midwinter quiet.
Sarah continued to run the resort, but was apparently having a tough time. In 1868, the George W. Miles Company, a manufacturer of fertilizer and fish oil, leased the island from her and built a fish processing plant. The offensive odors emanating from the island resulted in several lawsuits from the town and from residents. After accumulating financial problems, they finally closed in 1886.
The little island lay mostly vacant for several decades. In 1927, the Dominican Fathers from New Haven announced they would open the Aquinas Retreat there. 2 years later, it opened with a chapel, cabins, dining hall, and walking paths. The retreat only survived until 1936.
Nearly 5 decades passed with no occupants until the state of Connecticut purchased Charles Island in 1981, incorporating it into Silver Sands State Park. The island's salt marsh and dunes have been carefully restored and now serve as the protected home of a variety of native bird species. As to the legends of buried treasure, for all the papers, documents, photographs, and maps in the Mattatuck Museum's archive, no one has been able to crack the code and find Captain Kidd's treasure map. At least, no one has yet.